In this final video of a detailed look at each of the features for the drum, we're going to look at the tapped hole that allows us to secure the wire in place and the tapped holes on the right side that will allow us to secure the drum to a driving gear. So we don't have the gear yet, but I have given you information about the bolt hole circle, and that will be enough to get us through. So let me turn off the previous planes here and roll back my features. So what you have from the last video is everything except those last two tapped holes. We have a hole for the pulley wire, for the wire to go through the part. This hole is for the set screw to secure the pulley to the shaft. And this hole is where the shaft will come through the part, but it also has a large counterbore necessary for motor testing. So my next step, I'll turn my shading back on. My next step is a hole on the left side that intersects, actually I should have kept my wireframe. It intersects with the hole for the wire. And you can see it's very important that this is the threaded part of that hole, and this is the extended, just machined part of the hole. The hole itself intersects fully, and the threads go halfway into the wire hole. So that's going to pinch the wire into this hole and hold it in place. And we can also see that in 3-space, it's kind of centered over the proper center of this part, and its wide location is exactly determined by the height of the existing hole. So I click this end face and I put in a hole wizard, and the features of that hole wizard are a straight tap, and for that straight tap I choose 632 size, and for the same reason I changed the default value from 1065 to 116, a more standard drill size for that hole. My end condition for this hole has to be 3/4 of an inch. And I suppose I could have taken out a 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch with a clearance hole, but we're just going to thread the top half of this, or the top half inch of this. You get a full mechanical threading if you have a depth of twice the diameter for the threads. So this is more than we need, but that won't hurt anything. It just takes a little bit longer to thread. And then positions for this hole, let me come normal to my sketch. How did I get that lined up? Let me show you. I came to the visibility and I turned on my temporary axes. Can you see how many axes just showed up in my part? I can see the axes through every hole now. So I can put that point directly on this axis through the wires hole so that they are properly aligned. And I don't need to add a dimension. If I change the first hole, this will update as well. So that's a pretty convenient way to do that. Okay, so that's my 632 tapped hole on the left face. The next step was to come around to the right face, pre-select the face, and start a hole wizard. And let's take a look at that feature. So, oops, I come to a right view, and I'm actually going to turn off those temporary axes. They get to be a little bit cluttering. So let me show you the feature. These are, again, tapped holes for 632 with custom sizing as appropriate. And then in this one, so historically we've made this hole a little bit extra, 0.625, to give plenty of room at the bottom of the hole. The thread, however, is a pretty standard thread, so you don't have to thread any more than is typical. This might allow you to thread a little bit more than you think you need, or than you absolutely need, without damaging the tap. So it's just a slightly custom blind end condition. And if I could show you in 3-space, that's going into the part, and from this axis, I can see that there's material left. I'm not threatening the integrity of this part. And from the right face, I'll look at the positions. And what I did to make this sketch was I put in a circle using my circle tool, and I selected that circle and made sure it was for construction. And then I grabbed my point tool and I put it at one at each of these four quadrant markers on the circle. Finally, I gave the circle a diameter of 1.25 inches, and that finishes this feature. So in 3Space, I have 4 tapped holes on this side, allowing me to secure to a driving gear. I have a tapped hole on the left, allowing me to secure the wire. That's how we'll test this part, by the way. We'll put a cable in, we'll secure it with hardware, and then we'll pull on that cable and see if it comes out. I have a hole for the set screw to the shaft, and I have a counter bore over here for the tran torque that we haven't talked about quite yet. So that is a detailed look at the drum that hopefully gets you finished this part.